Hey guys, I'm Papa Pete, and I'm here with a special pickup video today. Not even going to be numbered. This is a very special one. I dare say this might be just a summary of probably the best pickup that I've ever made or will ever have in my history of collecting video games. You may have seen a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I received a box from Christian Martin, a gift for my absolute favorite collection, my favorite system in the world, and that's the Intellivision system. And I did a live stream that night, and it went on quite a while. I tell you, it was a lot of fun making that live stream. But, I mean, like I said, it's an hour and 45 minutes long by the time I go through everything. And, of course, there's a lot of fun to be had going through the live stream, talking with everybody who was on there and such. But I wanted also just to do a pickup video, a special one, with a summary going through what I got at the end of the day in that box. So stick around. I can't wait to get through it again, and we'll show you what exactly C-Mart sent me.
Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. If you haven't grown up by the age of 50, you don't have to.
Guys, I'm not having a beer today. No animals here. I just moved the basket. I didn't kick the cat out or anything, but I just wanted to have all the room I could and get right to the games, because this, like I said before, was an absolutely amazing variant and 125 part to my collection, additions to my collection. So let's take a look at the first wave of games he sent me. Now, first ones I'm going to show you are the Intellivision Ink Games. I got a bunch of those, bunch of Intellivision Ink, and a bunch of French versions, French-Canadian versions from Luc Boudreau, the Intellivision collector, back I'd say it was mid-fall. So Christian, he saw this, he saw what I had, what I didn't have, and he got me a bunch more to add to those two different variant collections. So starting right off, Intellivision Ink copy of Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack. And you think, oh, that's the packing game, right? Yeah, but my heavens, when you think about it, the Intellivision Ink version, I mean, everybody had Mattel versions back in the day because it came with a system for a long time. But you didn't see many in stores, so I consider this to be rather rare and unusual to pick up a retail version of Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack. So I was really happy to have that one. Next up, Rick Reynolds' favorite game from the Intellivisionaries Podcast, that's Sharp Shot. Classic kids game. I have played a little bit, and you know, it's kind of fun, but it's very, very simple. Again, it's aimed for kids, so really happy to have that one in. Next one is a game that I haven't played a whole lot, but it'll be a fun party game. It's going to be great when they bring it to the Amico, and that's the Intellivision Ink version of Horse Racing. I had the Mattel. I didn't have this one, though, so really happy to have that. Next up, classic game. Can't wait to play this on the Amico either, but in the meantime, what a beautiful Intellivision Ink copy of Astro Smash. One of the all-time classic games on the Intellivision. Perfect. I don't think I've even seen this copy, this version before. And the next one up is a more unusual game, a later game, but it did have a Mattel version. It did have an Intellivision Ink version, and that's Pinball. And I have an old copy that I bought on eBay years ago, and it's not in very good shape. I even think the top flap's gone, and this is absolutely beautiful. So, one more for the Intellivision Ink. Next one up again is a later game that came out for both. And here's the Intellivision Ink version of Motocross. I've not played this game much at all, but I've heard good things about it. But really nice to have this one. I did have some plastic cases. I have some of these in protective boxes now. Not all of them. I got to get all of them in there, frankly. But I have to buy some more. There's a great place online. Look at one of my recent pickup videos. I talked about Respawn and Replay. If you're in Canada, great place to get collector's boxes. They don't have the tall Intellivision boxes, though. But I had enough tall Intellivision boxes with shorter games in it, like the later games, that I managed to pull a few out, and I could use them that way. But it'd be good to see them get those into their in as well. All right, next up, another classic game, Space Armada, Intellivision Ink copy, and of course you notice by, of course, the flip top box, and it's a lighter blue color, so really nice. Just gonna set those up there. And the last Intellivision Ink game is Buzz Bombers, and that is a beautiful copy right there. Just pristine. I love it. All right, so after the Intellivision Ink, the other thing that Luke got me started on that I hadn't really collected a whole lot of, I'd had 2 or 3, but was the French versions, the French-Canadian versions, which have both languages on them. Of course, in Canada, you had to have both to market them up here, both languages. Everything had to be bilingual. Let me sort of reach it here. And the first one, hey, we saw it in the Intellivision Ink. Why not the French-Canadian version? It is Horse Racing La Course de Chevaux. And of course, these are the old gatefold because they're metal, actually. In very, very nice condition. I'm going to start those ones over there. Next one up, same thing as before, right? Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack, only the French-Canadian. No difference in title here, nor on the side, but you do have the other language on all the other details on the back. Like cet emballage contient une cartouche, deux segments de recouvrement, which would be the overlays, pour le commande et le mode d'emploi. I guess, le mode d'emploi. The commande, the mode d'emploi would be the instruction book. Now I got a few from the Strategy Collection in the French-Canadian version. The first one's Reversey. Again, the title's all in one language, but even on the spine, but everything else is in both languages. I have a feeling that's not a very common one. One of the all-time great games for the Intellivision, the real started off the God Mode games, is Utopia. This one does have both languages in the title and on the spine, and this is a very good copy. I love Utopia. Utopia, I love collecting different variants. Of course, I have the one that's autographed by Don Daglow. I really love having that. Next one is a game. I'm not very good at chess. And I looked at it first. I didn't really clue in when I first looked at this out of the box that it was the French-Canadian variant because it just says USCF chess. So, but great addition. Here's the last of the strategy network games in the French-Canadian version, and that's Checkers Dame. And I talked about that recently in the 125. I said how much I'd like to get the variants for Checkers. As simple of a game as Checkers is, and I wasn't really a big fan of it when I was a kid. There was something about making that video and being able to talk about Checkers for 20 minutes and really kind of enjoying it and seeing the different variants that were available that made me really want them. So when I saw that, it was something that was pretty special to me, really. French-Canadian version, Checkers Dame. Next one's got to reach over. All right, so let's look. This is a space network, and we got start right off with another game that I've already covered in the 125, Space Battle, or Combat de l'Espace. And again, I mean, it's got a sticker on the back with the bilingual part on it. It's kind of interesting, but the box, in general, has both languages on it, so I find that very interesting. The next one's a game that is not the most popular space game they have, but is still very well known, and that's Space Hawk, Faucon de l'Espace. Man, I don't know, just really good copy. Gotta love it. Of course, Space Hawk's the one that Luke sent me back a couple years ago, and he said, you gotta open a brand new Intellivision game on the air just to see what it's like. And I couldn't believe it when I opened that back. It was my Papa Beats Pickups, episode 61, I think it was. And I opened up that game, and it brought back memories because it smelled inside when you cracked that cellophane open the exact same way that I remember it smelling back in 1981. So, phenomenal. Unbelievable. Next one. Hey, we've talked about this one already. Astro Smash or L'Astro Smash. Of all the games to give both titles to in French, I never really understood why you would do this one, but you wouldn't do, I don't know, Poker and Blackjack, which would be something different. But anyway, very happy to have that one in great shape. Last but not least for the space games is Space Armada, La Flotte de l'Espace. And the thing about that is if you look at the title, I'll put a close-up of it right in here. The spelling on this is absolutely horrendous because it is not La Flotte with a triple T, l'Espace. La Flotte de l'Espace, baby. I don't know. I think that will be it. Maybe some of our French-Canadian viewers would specify. But I'm sure it's La Flotte de l'Espace is what it should have been. But just a neat little thing. It's not like it's a variant because every single one of the French-Canadian versions was printed this way. But I'm glad to have one. I know that. Here's some sports games from the French-Canadian that I didn't have yet. And the first one is one of the games I played the most when I was a kid, which is bowling, or in French, quille. Although they would never just say quille, it'd be les quilles or something like that. But anyway, I guess, you know, as we saw from La Flotte de l'Espace, they didn't have very good quality control on their translations. But anyway, maybe that is right. I could be totally wrong, but I think it should be les quilles or something like that. Not like it's a big deal. And here we go. NHL hockey. La Hockey NHL. And again, if you do anything about, like, as I see hockey in French all the time, so it's La Ligue Nationale de Hockey. So it's the LNH. So they didn't change that around. They just put La Hockey NHL. So, interesting enough. The last sports game I got is a soccer game, NASL Soccer, La Soccer de la NASL. And that's a game, again, that I haven't played a whole lot, but really happy to have these variants of it for sure to go with my original Mattel ones. Okay, let's get into some of the arcadey type, not the arcade network, that would just be Vectron, that's not here, but the arcadey type games, I'll call it, because this is one of the very first arcade games that was brought to the Intellivision, and it's the French-Canadian version of my most recent episode of the 125, Locket Chase. Again, title's not in French, but everything else on here is bilingual, so really nice to have that one. Because I don't know, there's something about after I've spent enough time researching a game and talking about a game and such, I really sort of feel even that much, I like it that much more just from doing that, as opposed to from playing it, because I hadn't played Locket Chase too much growing up. We did have it, I did play it, I did like it, but now that I've done all the research that I have on it, it's got a special place for me, right? Next one up is a game we didn't have when I was a kid, and it's probably my favorite French name on there, Frog Bog, or Le Maricage Grenouille. That is awesome right there. I love it. Beautiful condition. Man, C-Mart, it's just, you spoil me like I can't fathom. Here's the game that a lot of people think is a Tron game, but it came out 3 years before Tron was ever even released, but it does remind people of the light cycles, and it's the French-Canadian version of Snafu. Of course, Snafu is going to be on the Amico as well, but they're going to change the name. They're not going to have a U on it. It's going to be SNAF00 because of the innuendo of this title, which with the acronym that it stands for. But anyway, I don't know. It's pretty good. Either way, it's a fun game. It could look like the light cycles. You can imagine it being the light cycles, but it's just a lot of fun to play. And the music's great in that game for it being one of the very first games for the system. Speaking of Tron, of all the Tron games, this is the one I'm probably least familiar with, but really loved having this French-Canadian version of it. It's Tron Maze-a-Tron. Why we didn't have this one back then, and why I've only played it very little up to now, I don't know, just the way things worked out. But, man, I tell you, your collection isn't complete till you have all the Tron games. This one's very important in that bunch. But, on that note, one of my all-time favorite Intellivision games is Tron Deadly Discs. And I didn't know what it would be like to have the French-Canadian version as far as what the differences would be. And it's very small. Again, title's all the same. It's just on the front and the back. But awesome to have this variant, because like I said before, there aren't many variants of this, of course, because the license only was with Mattel. So all you're going to get are the ones that were released by Mattel back in the day. So very happy to have that one to go along with my regular one. And, of course, with Tron, that being one of my favorite games, is neck and neck with this one right here, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, same thing, license belonged to Mattel, so there aren't a whole lot of variants of this later on. They called it Cloudy Mountain, they called it Crown of Kings, various things, but I don't believe it was ever actually released on cartridge format, just as part of packages on computers or standalones or handhelds or flashback and stuff like that under different names. But it's neat to have this box copy of the French-Canadian version, which also, of course, includes, the instructions are all in French and English as well. It's fantastic. Glad to have it. So here's a couple of other French-Canadian versions which aren't as popular. They aren't as common, and they're really quite rare to my understanding. And the first one is Buzz Bombers, Les Bombardiers Bourdonnais. And this, unlike the other ones we have, this is a gatefold. And there's the French-Canadian, the French manual. It's held in there, put together. Man, just so nice to have that right there. And another arcade game, Mission X. Not much French on there at all. It's very plain, actually. Mattel Electronics and Intellivision, Mission X. But here's S'emploie avec tout l'appareil principal de l'Intellivision. And on the back is quite a bit of French language. But this is the French-Canadian version. Again, not a common game. Leads you right to one more. And this is the all-time classic. Burger Time. Lure de Burger. That is so cool to have that. Man, thank you, C-Mart. That's just incredible. And again, Lure de Burger right here inside. If you take a look, you flip that over, it will be the English manual on one side and the French manual on the other. It's just so interesting. This is not a very common game to have, this version. And I'm thrilled to have it because I can do that sometime soon on the 125. You might see it this season, I'm not sure, but you are going to see it sometime on the Intellivision Amico, and I'm really looking forward to that. And speaking of Burger Time, not only did I get French Canadian versions, but I also got a few Digiplay Portuguese versions of the games. And here is the Portuguese Burger Time that was released in Brazil back in the early 1980s. I'll try to read it. It's Cartucho para Video Game is all it says. And if you look inside, it's a gatefold, and it's just a little bit designed differently for down there. The manuals look a little bit different. And even the label on the game itself is a little bit different. So interesting to have these variants right here, the Digiplay. And speaking of Digiplay, there's a couple more I have to show you. Here's the first one. Basketball. No NBA license. Down in Brazil. NBA didn't mean anything to them. But all the same design, the same different type of manual. Digiplay. Portuguese from Brazil. Triple action. Who doesn't love biplanes? I like the tank game and I like the car game, but the biplane game was just so special. I mean, you look at the back, all the instructions, everything in this isn't bilingual. It's Portuguese. These are the Brazilian versions, the Digiplay version. This one's a little bit different. This is designed like the Intellivoice games were here in North America. So really kind of interesting there. I'd love to have that variant. And last but not least, for Digiplay games, he also sent me a copy of Space Armada. And how awesome is that? Let's take a look. What's it like inside? It's designed like the first two were, with that different type of slipcover spot for your manual. And of course the overlays are the same. And this has even got a very similar, although it is a little bit different font. It's a different font on the label. So very, very interesting. In the back, all in Portuguese. So next I'm going to show you a couple of real different variants that he sent me that aren't anything that I've ever had before. Very, very happy to pick these up. And the first one, basically they're both European, okay? And the first one I got is, flip it over. It is another copy of Burger Time, but this is the European version. And if you look on the back, I'm not going to tell you what the languages are, but there't one, well, I know it's English, French, I would assume German, Spanish, and Italian maybe. But all five languages on there. And of course, they're very distinct by these white boxes with sort of the reddish rainbow type sash on them with the name. And there's 4 different ones. See if I can get this right now. It's Mission X, Vectron, Burger Time, obviously. And the other one will pop into my head here soon. But there's 4 different versions of this that you can pick up. Shark's the other one. That's what it is. So really happy to get one of these. You see those available every now and again. And 4, well, that's a reasonable little subset to try to get. So thanks a lot for getting me started. Here we go down that path. You know, the rabbit hole of Intellivision variants. And I really don't feel that bad about that. I kind of love it, actually. So here's the last variant that I got that's sort of unusual. This again is European, and it goes back to when I said about checkers, dames, and how much like I did checkers on the 125, and I sort of started to kind of like that game, and I said right in that video I'd love to have all the variants. And here it is. The British version of checkers is called Drafts. And whether this game, like it is in Australia as well, so I'm not sure if this is the Australian version or the British version, but I don't care. It's checkers that's called Drafts. And this is the variant that I really, really wanted. Everything's English on the back, but man, They're not easy to come by, let me tell you that. And I love having this in my collection, especially, again, as I do these games on the 125, they just become that much more special to me. So before I did that episode, I really didn't think much about this at all. I knew it existed. I knew about the French-Canadian version. Luke got me into the French-Canadian versions anyway, and then after I'd made that video and started talking about the various stuff, man, I really wanted it. So friggin' glad to have that one right there. So the next couple things that Christian sent me, I couldn't believe it. Blew my mind when I looked at them. These are brand new, still shrink wrap games that come from one of the top producers of homebrew games for the Intellivision system. The most famous in my mind by far, I mean, I'd heard of them before, and that's Electronite. And the very first one I got is Lost Caves of Cross, which is a game that I really, really wanted to get. Oh my god, I had been talking to Luke about picking up a copy from him, and I opened up that box and I got digging down and through, and there is a sealed copy of the Lost Caves of Cross for me. So this has been out for a few years now. It's like a maze type game with different elements in it. Electronite is such an amazing company. They make fantastic, high-quality games, high-quality packaging, everything a collector could possibly want, or an Intellivision lover could possibly want. Man, I got another one of their games that's coming real soon. It should be here at any time. I'll have it in one of my pickup videos. And man, in the meantime, wow, fantastic to get that. And guess what? It wasn't the only one he sent me. He also sent me a sealed copy of the all-time Electronite classic DK Arcade. The game that showed that the Coleco version of Donkey Kong didn't have to be that bad, because this game right here is fantastic. And man, I still can't believe this is number 326 on that one. Does this have a number of it? This was number 78. So, man, it's amazing to get these games. Thank you so much. Well, I've showed a lot of variants, and of course those fantastic homebrews. I got Digiplay, the French-Canadian, the European games. I got Intellivision Ink to add to my collection of Intellivision Ink games, but ultimately, the goal of any Intellivision collector is to hit that 125. And I was always just over 100. And Christian knew exactly what I needed, and he just decided that he was going to be nice to me and took a big chunk out of those games. So let me share some of the games that he gave me that take a bite into my 125. First up is one of the other arcade classics that's going to be coming to the Amico. I never had a copy of Bump and Jumps, known as Burning Rubber over in Europe, but Bump and Jump, I didn't have it. It's along with Burger Time and Lock and Chase are coming on the Amico sometime in the next couple of years. It'll be after launch, but what a fantastic game. And this one is in very good shape. Of course, I got it all in a protective box to go with my collection, let me tell you that. And so happy to have that one. Unbelievable. Next up is one of the Atari Soft games, and that is Defender. I had Centipede I did actually on the 125 not too long ago. It was a pretty good, very good game actually. I enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to playing Defender. I remember playing Defender a lot on the Atari 2600 when I was a kid. I had it there. I had it for that system, but we didn't have it for the Intellivision. And man, it's kind of interesting, the story behind Atari Soft and them making the games for the Intellivision. Only 3 ever came out, and there was probably about 8 or 10 that were in the process of being prepared and different stages of readiness to be released. The only one that ever, basically 3 of them that come out were Defender, Centipede, and Pac-Man. Only one other one ever ended up coming out, was picked up and later released by Intellivision Ink or INTV Core. I'm not sure exactly which one right off the top of my head, but anyway, maybe we'll see that in a few minutes if you know what one it is. The next one in the 125 that I needed is Intellivision Slam Dunk Super Pro Basketball, and there's something about that box that I just love. First of all, not many of the Intellivision games have a live action shot on them, and this is one of the very few that does. But it's so weird because everything's perfectly pitch black behind them. It's just a strange, weird picture. I don't know. And the back's really neat because it's got different screenshots on it and different instructions, full rules, or what's it say? As an owner, as a manager, as a player, and full rules. I don't know. Really interesting game. I'll have to try that out a little bit more, but now that I have it, hey, I can try it out whenever I want. That's beautiful. Here's another one I had. There's 2 games made by this company. I had one of them. It was Championship Tennis, I believe. And now I've also got World Cup Soccer, made by Nice Ideas. Dextel is a Dextel Limited, licensed by Nice Ideas, but it's a French company, so it may be a Nice Ideas after the city of Nice. I don't know. Maybe I can't tell you which one it is. But I've had never seen these games until later years. Back in the day, I didn't even know they existed. Of course, they were very, very late, long after Mattel. And, well, I should say long after. It's probably right towards the very end of the Mattel era. But in any case, what's it really matter? This one is in absolutely beautiful condition. Oh, right here. USA registered trademark of INTV Core. So it was INTV Core by this time. That is beautiful. So happy to have that game and finish up my Dextel Limited collection of 2 games. Now, the next one's an arcade game that we all know. A lot of people don't know what came out on the Intellivision, frankly, but that's Commando. Again, okay, got to take a quick look. This was by INTV Core, right towards the very end. These are the harder games to get. I have only seen that once or twice, ever. Very hard to find games, even at a big convention. Like, I go to Too Many Games, I've been there 3 times, and I look for Intellivision games when I'm there. And I did see this one. It was a lot of money that particular time. I was buying some Xbox at that time, so I didn't pick it up. And afterwards, I always regretted because I never really saw it again. And now, man, so happy to have that one. And from all I've heard, it's a very good version of it, too. This game's very well known. The music's fantastic, and people just love this game. And I've not had an opportunity to give it much of a try yet. I've been working ever since I got all these, so I haven't had a chance to play them. But anyway, Thunder Castle doesn't get any better than that. Man, crawling closer and closer to the 125. Here's another game that's sort of a Kix knockoff, and it's called Thin Ice. Wow, it's the penguin that skates around being chased by seals, and you're trying to break off or square off bits of ice, and they fall in, and you try to get the seals, and I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's 1 or 2 players, another INTV Core game. So happy to have that added to my collection. Here's one that I didn't know that I'd ever have. Intellivision Super Pro Decathlon. 10 different events. Again, INTV Core. Man, so happy to have that in there, let me tell you that. Remember I told you before there were some games that Atari Soft were working on that and only one of them carried on and actually was picked up and further developed and turned into a game by INTV Core, and that was Dig Dug. Also of note for Dig Dug, it has, Deadly Dogs on it, which is a little Easter egg game where you play Tron Deadly Discs as the hot dogs from Burger Time. But I've not tried that out yet. Can't wait to try it. And for whatever reason, this is one of the games that I've always wanted the most. I really can't tell you why. But when I thought about games that I wanted to pick up, like for the next step, this was the one I was thinking of. There's 2 games actually that I was really wanted out of all of them. And here's the second one. And it's Diner. So happy to have Diner. This is a fabulous game. The only true sequel at the time for Burger Time. And I've heard nothing but good things about this game. I have played it a bit. I enjoy it very much. And I'm just flabbergasted to now finally have it in my collection. Phenomenal. Now, there's one more thing that he sent me in the box. This one really blew me away. I love collecting the Sears variants of games as well. And I think there's 29 different Sears variants for the Intellivision, and I have 23 of them. There's a few that are fairly low priced. None of them are too bad, really. I should be able to pick them up quite quickly. But here's something that I saw online 3 or 4 years ago, and it was available for sale. And for whatever reason, I didn't jump on it. Somebody was making it in the homebrew community, and I really thought, I really regretted that after the fact, because I loved the whole subset, and these just weren't going to be available again. So it blew my mind when I pulled out the Sears Telegames Super Video Arcade Overlay Set. It's sealed. No, I'm not going to open it because I can see what they look like right there. They're overlays designed, of course, the Sears game had different manuals, different boxes, but the overlays and the cartridges themselves were the same. Well, this set right here has replacement stickers and replacement overlays for your Sears games to make those Sears specific as well. I don't think I need to pull them out of there and put them in my games. I'm very happy to have it like this. But these are just not easy to get. There were not many of them made at the time, and the people who bought them, collectors, don't tend to want to part with them very much, rightfully so. So I was so honored to receive this from C-Mart. I just can't explain it to you. I understand the significance of it. I understand the rarity and the fact that these just don't become available all the time, often at all. I had a little talk with the Intellivision collector about it, and he sort of reiterated what I'm saying right now. He said, "Oh yeah, that's amazing." So my God, thank you, C-Mart. Yeah, I understand and I appreciate that right there. That as much, if not more than anything, that right there is just beautiful. Anyway, guys, that's it. I wanted to share it with you one more time. Some of the things that I got, the stuff that C-Mart sent me last week. Of course, an hour and 45 minutes. I think this video was long enough, but an hour and 45 minutes is a long time to go through it. But man, we had a lot of fun. The guys watching, Jeff from Go Game Go was on there on my live stream with me just to sort of watch the chat and talk me through things now and again, because I was pretty excited, needless to say, opening up all these games, because I really do love the Intellivision. It means a lot to me from when I was a kid. It's not only fun and a great game to play, but for me it's very nostalgic. It reminds me of my late brother-in-law, and I don't know, just everything about the system I love, including the whole community, because I've never seen a group of people who love something as much as the Intellivision, who are just a great bunch of guys, and they look out for each other, and they're very happy for each other when they get additions to their own Intellivision collections. So one last time, C-Mart, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to hear you in the next episode of the Intellivisionaries Podcast. And as for the rest of you, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we'll see you next time when I get some more pickups. You take care.
Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. If you haven't grown up by the age of 50.
I'm Rick Reynolds of the Intellivisionaries Podcast, and you're watching Papa Pete, the Old Guy Gamer.
What the hell?